Hey everybody, Sam Kavaris in the Nimnicht Chevrolet Sports Update. Finishing 5-11, the Jaguars now have the 5th pick in the draft coming up in April in 2016. It's certainly disappointing and not where they thought they'd be after 3 years into the Dave Caldwell and Gus Bradley experiment. But were they better? Absolutely. By any measure, they were better, but by any measure, they was also disappointing. 5 wins is better than 4 or 3, but not as good as the 6, 7, or 8 that maybe they were anticipating. Some of the losses, the way they came, particularly at the end of the year, incredibly disappointing, but it did point out some of the things that the Jaguars will have to do in the offseason. Clearly, they're going to have to spend their money and spend it not just on developing players, but on players that are ready to play now, ready to win now. They've got to find a pass rush. They've got to find some guys who can continue to cover behind in the back. They've got to find another linebacker in there. They've got to shore up the offensive line. Yes, they'll get some guys back from injury, and next year's lineup is going to look very different. But they can't make those critical mistakes at very critical times and expect to win more than 5 football games. Look at some of the games that they lost and think about how easily they could have won if the Jaguars could have just gotten out of their own way. This is something that Dave Caldwell and Gus Bradley have been working on for 3 years. Their 2013 draft has not panned out as developed to the dominant starters that they wanted, whether it's Jokel or Cyprian or Josh Evans or Ace Sanders, who they cut, and some other players as well. But they've got to draft well. They've got to spend probably all of their money. We're not going to get those guys who were in that that first contract, the second ascension contract, so to speak. You got to find guys who maybe have 1 or 2 years left who can still play that you're willing to pay, because without winning games next year and without contending in the division, this thing gets blown up and they start over again. I mean, the Jaguars are trying not to be the Browns of the South. And at this point, after 21 years, the Jaguars have had 6 winning seasons, 2 at 8-8, and the rest have been losers. So in order to get this thing right, they've got to go ahead and try to win games now and stop the development process. Bortles, Robinson, Hearns, Thomas, Yeldon, those are all guys that are going to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. But Gus Bradley, who said after the game, they've got to take a good hard look and tell the truth, will have to do just that with his staff and with the players, because without better players and better results, he'll be looking for a job after next year. I'm Sam Kavaris, and that's the Nimnicht Buick GMC Sports Update.